English translation 234th contact. Friday, 19th January 1990. E007 hours.
Hi, greetings, my friend. But it is not February yet.
Often there are situations that require other decisions and actions than those one had intended. This also applies to my visit today, which I had originally scheduled for the 3rd of February.
It is also so right for me, and above all, I am very happy about your visit.
It is also a great pleasure for me to see you again, although I was only recently able to let your presence have a positive effect on me.
Man, you are talking thickly today. Do you have a certain reason for it? Or do you suffer here and there from such strange seizures, which let you speak in such a souped-up and puffy manner?
It is a joy and a need for me to assure you of my reverence and respect in this manner. Throughout the years, which are sadly behind us in many respects, we have often treated you no differently than the Earth humans have done and still do towards you. Unfortunately, we made the unforgivable mistake of being concerned only with the present, which made us presumptuous towards you in a wise that cannot be justified. Therefore, we did not let your origin and venerability come into its own in ourselves, which we regret very much today, and which I should explain to you from all of us who were decisively involved in it, with the request and the appeal that you should grant us all indulgence because of this. This is a very great need for us because what has happened grieves us.
Man, you are crazy. Excuse me, but I do not want an apology from you, because you have no reason for that. Remember that so much has gone wrong in all these years, and has not been fulfilled according to the plan, and that I have often simply failed. Even though I was often damn angry with you and your demands because I just could not muster understanding for you, it did not justify that I often just failed. This is a...
Your words end.
Let me talk now, because I let you talk earlier. Please. I wanted to say why... Now I have forgotten what I wanted to say. You should not have interrupted me.
It was not my intention to confuse you. But your words do not correspond exactly to the given facts, which really occur as I have explained. So please indulge us and take away at least that part of the sorrow which you are able to take away through your indulgence.
Forbearance. Forbearance. By that you mean an apology, and you really do not need to make it.
This word is meant by that, yes, and it is really a necessity from our side. I ask you for it.
And I ask you not to humiliate yourself or anyone else. You have no reason to.
Please, I'm asking you to.
You embarrass me, Ptah, and everyone else is doing this to you.
This reveals your truthful and venerable inner nature. So, we are also right to ask for your indulgence for everything we do that is incorrect and unpleasant, as well as disrespectful.
I feel a shameful sadness in me, Ptah.
Please!
It does not lie in my nature to offend you and the others. It is not my intention to hurt you either. Let it therefore be according to your will. Let it be given to you. Indulgence in full honesty and love, even if I see or recognize no reason which should be a requirement for you to have to ask me for indulgence.
My gratitude is as certain to you as that of all others in whose name I made the request, and now thank you for it.
Please, Ptah, you embarrass me.
It was all our need to explain to you what was necessary and to thank you.
But that is enough now, I think. This cannot be the reason why you came prematurely, will it?
It was one reason for that, and it was just as important to us as that which continues to emerge. Because of the loving help of the High Council, it has come about that your level of origin has been connected with the Patahli level, which now wants to address you in the unilaterally possible form known to you. In order to give you some important information, just as the level Arahat Athersata wants to do, which also regards identical information as a necessity. So you should now align yourself with this and establish the necessary state of balance within yourself so that the one-sided transmission of information can occur.
Man, Ptah, this is one thing. I would never have dreamed of that. It is really a thing. But I want to do as you say. But it takes some time to balance me out and bring the swinging wave to the required high level and adjust it.
I will be patient and wait.
15 to 20 minutes will certainly take me to adjust.
I will be patient and wait. I explained that already. Make an effort now and generate the state of neutralization and the required swinging wave.
0:32 hours.
You grasp in yourself the words of the highest swinging wave level called Patali for understanding. Thus we know about the machinations of unfair form of human beings of earthly origin on the same planet, who claim in untruth that they are in communication with us, or with the Arahat Athasata level, or with forms of life of extraterrestrial kind, or with forms of the spirit of any other than material earth kind. Truthfully, it is to be revealed that we, the Patali level, have to manifest in the highest form of the power of all knowledge in truth. That we have to testify in control of all things in the entire material and spiritual existence of the creational universal space. That knowledge and truth are our own in all things, and that there is no knowledge of any fact in it which would say that, besides you, another human life form on Earth would have contacts with us, or with the Arahat Athasata level, or would be capable of such contacts. In a conscious wise, there are no human life forms present on the Earth that would be powerful enough to have connections with human life forms of any form other than earthly life itself. Equally, on planet Earth, no human life form has the power and ability to communicate with, receive from, or be taught by subtle forms of life of any kind, neither through forms of subtle spirituality on Earth nor outside it. Only the forms of that connecting kind of communication are given, which is limited to one-sided impulses, teachings, messages and information, which are based on human forms of life outside the earthly realm, and which are received in very small numbers by human forms of Lyran origin living in mission on planet Earth. Such are none of them, however, who would openly manifest themselves, and who would appear in public, or who would call themselves non-Earth born. If, however, various human beings of the Earth do so in such a wise that they call themselves human beings born on planet Earth, and living there or having come here with a place of origin from another planet than the Earth, then it is given in a very clear form that they speak the untruth in the same forms as those who untruthfully claim to be in communicative connection with us, or with the plane of Arahat Athasata, or with other forms of life, whether fine material or coarse material, than the human being of the Earth himself is. Finally, it should be pointed out that all necessary explanations were given in a discussion of the Ishtwishtar on the 17th of November, 1989, and in a further discussion on the 1st of November, 1989. The High Council received this information from the level Arahat Athasata, which according to our information transmitted it from the absolute knowledge of all things of the material and the spiritual realm of the existing universal realm to the High Council, which transmitted the information to Ishtwishtar, who then informed you through his conversations. Thus is thereby given the truthful truth and the course of things, as they truthfully correspond to that which is given. Given so, for your information and knowledge, and thus for all those who are pregnant with the truth on the planet Earth.
4 hours.
Thus we, Arahat Athasata, give you the word to announce to you in a short demonstration that all sorts of dishonest acts of earthborn human beings on the earth are of no truth whatsoever, which claim in untruthfulness and falsification of truth, as well as in malicious falsehood that earth humans would be in contact with us, or with the level Patali. Equally, untruth and falsehood apply everywhere where assertions are equally made and represented that human beings on the earth are in contact with human life forms from worlds other than the earth. Similarly, this applies to assertions of those who boast of untruth with alleged contacts to spirit forms of any kind in this world or beyond, or to alien worlds of course of fine material form and kind. All explanations to be given in this regard were given by the Istwishtar on the 17th of November and the 1st of December 1989 in a conversation with you related to this, which you have already begun to spread this information. All necessary information is contained in the mentioned declarations, which in every wise clearly mark and present all facts as such, and to which even more to add is not of requirement or necessity, because they leave no doubts open.
You seem to be very pleased about these connections, even if they have not lasted very long.
Of course, somehow it made me feel at home. Even now the feeling still kind of lasts. But that should have nothing to do with a miracle. It is now Era 128, yes, the transmissions did not take long. It is just a bit tedious, because not everything goes as smoothly as when we can talk together. Unfortunately, I still have difficulties with my head, since my collapse. It is not going to be all right anymore, and it was still quite nasty and dizzy for me until the time you came. But slowly my condition is improving, and I am already doing quite well. Perhaps this contact with you and the two I have just met is decisive for me, finally beginning to feel better again after more than 7 months of dizziness and nausea. But maybe it is also the medication that I have been taking since today, because the skulls have simply become too big again. But it is also possible that both together now contribute to the improvement, whereby I hope that this will continue, and that in the morning it will still be as it is now. Or even better.
You may be right that both factors together cause the improvement. Anyway, your appearance is a bit better than at the beginning of our conversation at shortly after midnight. That pleases me.
I am happy too. But tell me, Ptah, what do you think of all the theater around the earth? Everything you said on the 17th of November and the 1st of December last year is now actually true. I'm not surprised or shocked about it, because I know enough that you would never make predictions that were not right. But still, it is somehow frightening again and again how everything always comes true, and nothing can be done about it. You have said that it will not take very long after the first signs of peace and freedom in the most diverse countries around the world, before terror and murder and manslaughter arise again and renewed bloodshed puts people in fear and terror, as far as wars break out again. In addition, you also said that often underground, dirty and inflammatory machinations of foreign states will be to blame for it, would smuggle nasty packs of agents for intrigue purposes and for the production of insurrection, unpeace generation, and for the structure of anarchism and terror into the most diverse states. Now it is indeed the case that the devil is sitting on the roofs of the so-called liberated countries everywhere, and that he is making terror everywhere and promoting bloodshed, dissatisfaction and anarchism, no matter whether it is in the GDR, Romania, Lithuania, Poland, the CSSR, Albania, Bulgaria, Hungary or Armenia, Yerevan or Azerbaijan, etc. Everywhere the damned terror is made and cried out for blood. Especially Mikhail Gorbachev is the one who suffers the most, because he is the one who really brought freedom in huge form through his fair thinking and acting, through his perestroika put into action and glasnost, and was a model for many countries who emulated him. In gratitude, however, he is deceived and driven into the devil's kitchen by the population stirred up by foreign agents and made a bogeyman. Everything escalates and falls out of control, and already everything is so far that the oppressed governments have no other choice than to restore order with military and armed force. But if this continues in this mad frame of terror and anarchy, stirred up by the people and the dirty packs of agents, then it will pop quite soon, and the most beautiful civil wars rage through the countries. It will not be far before the Third World War, especially not when those responsible for all the terror can continue to do dirty work without their lousy jobs being held to account for them.
Your words are quite truthful regarding the threat you mentioned. The unreasonableness and the exuberance of all those who create unrest and upheaval by anarchism and terror in all states politically transforming by force lead to the fact that great bloodshed will come over them and over many others, and moreover uninvolved and innocent people, which already begins with today.
Safe in Russia, in the Persian border area? That is where the bang is going to happen, because that is where the terror of the population is greatest. Presumably, the army sent there will have no other option but to restore order by force of arms, or to try to do so in this kind and wise, whereby it will probably not be possible to do anything other than use the weapon, and many human beings will have to pay for their unreasonableness and their terror with their blood and their lives, which, absurdly enough, is once again blamed on the Russian government by all the mad and revolting people, by sick and false humanists, and by the Western powers, even though it is only doing what any other government would do. But because it is Russia, that is why it is being picked on. While the Americans' criminal invasion of Panama and all the other criminal acts after and before by the Americans are simply kept silent or even praised and supported for their outrages. I do not want to make politics. That is far from my intention. But these are facts that cannot simply be kept quiet. In fact, the whole world should recognize the discrepancy in the entire American advertising block of free phrases, on the one hand, and on the other, in the opposing action with the death penalty and the warlike machinations and the criminal attacks on foreign states. But unfortunately, this is not the case, because certain states are dependent on America, both militarily and privately, and on the other hand because America is feared. It is all too well known that America does not shy away from any machinations when it comes to gaining an advantage for the USA.
Now you speak such dangerous words as you heard from me on the 1st of December last year.
That may be, but it is the truth. Certainly many evil things and machinations come from all other countries of the world. But America is really the ultimate in these things. It has no rival, also in relation to lies, swindle, and deceit, and in evil machinations of the dirtiest kind, to suppress the truth, as is especially the case in relation to me and my contacts with you. This is quite apart from the unbelievable lies of all those many Americans who fraudulently claim to have any contact with you or with other extraterrestrial humans or spirit forms, etc. The impertinence of all these filthy creatures knows no bounds, and they are probably the largest and slimiest dog fleets on this side and beyond our universe. I want to record this in this conversation once again thoroughly and clearly. As I said before, there are also in many other countries such liars, swindlers and deceivers. For example, in Germany, Spain, Italy, and France in particular. But almost all from these countries are not able to hold a candle, in any wise, to the Americans who are liars in these matters, with a few exceptions. Those who suffer are those Americans who are open and honest, and who honestly try to be human, to find the truth and to live according to the creational natural laws and recommendations.
Patale and Arahat Athersata also talked about this. Through them, the truth has been revealed, when actually no further explanations are needed. Also, our talks of the 17th of November and the 1st of December last year contain all necessary explanations. Data and facts, therefore, at least at present, we do not need any further words of clarification anymore.
That corresponds to correctness, if I want to respond to your words with Quetzal's idiom. Nonetheless, it is a great need for me, at some other time, to have all the penetrating and slimy contact liars, swindlers and deceivers, as well as the liars, etc., who claim to be extraterrestrials themselves, to name what they are truthful, namely, nothing but the first and the last flocks of dogs in the whole universe, which do not contain even the slightest spark of decency, let alone that they have any respect whatsoever for the truth, or even for the love and greatness of the creation.
For how else would it be that they would shamelessly dare to make a fool out of the truth and claim with it?
Blackening lie that they have contacts to other material forms of life, other than with the terrestrial human, being on the planet Earth, and to subtle life forms on the other side or extraterrestrial or of purely spiritual nature. And all this, even though it must be clear to every reasonable human being that all the liars, swindlers and deceivers and Earth humans are in no wise evolutionary far enough or capable of even making such contacts, let alone maintaining them.
These are further words that correspond to the truth, but I think that we have all sufficiently discussed these concerns, and that actually nothing needs to be explained by our side anymore. But if we were to do this anyway, we would only unnecessarily get upset, as we uncontrollably did about 50 days ago, on the 1st of December.
You are right about that, and it is probably better that we do not bother with it any longer, although I would actually still have a lot to say in reference to the lying, slanderous and fraudulent as well as criminal machinations of all those Americans, and actually wanted to say as well, who display a dog-fetal nature and behavior, and just as much thinking and acting. They really do not know any decency, reverence, or respect, let alone honesty, venerability, or anything else that would have a positive value. If I only think of what happens in much fewer cases in other and non-American countries, that my writings are stolen, copied, translated wrongly or partially translated wrongly, and distributed for expensive money, what is also done with all my photos, etc., then all this tells me quite clearly that all those criminal creatures, which fall under the mentioned, do not deserve the name human yet. Which also applies to all those who dare to call themselves lying contact persons of yourselves, of Patale or Arahat Athersata, of higher spiritual forms, of the High Council, or of the afterlife, or of any other kind of life forms, which are not purely material, earth-human in nature. And that they are all liars, swindlers and deceivers, all the alleged contactors, mediums, channelers, and other lunatics, Piteli and Arahat Athersata, and indirectly also the High Council, have now fully confirmed this.
This is so. But the High Council confirms this fact of its unanimity with Patali and Arahat Athersata, as well as with us, not only indirectly, because I have to exercise the duty to inform you, from them, that they also do not maintain any contacts with any human life forms of the Earth or on the Earth, because this is absolutely impossible due to the low state of evolution of all human beings living on the Earth, apart from you, who, however, do not make use of this possibility of connection and, in all reverence, leaves it to me to maintain this possibility of contact, although this would be more appropriately due to you, and you would also have the possibility of it from time immemorial.
You talk too much. We were once one. It was on the great journey that we would keep these and some other things a secret.
Of course, that is what we discussed. For my part, however, I did not tie myself to a promise in this respect, but I only gave the word that I would try not to speak out of carelessness about what unfortunately happened now, completely unintentionally. It was not my intention to not consciously test my word. Please indulge me.
It is all right, Ptah. It was not a reprimand, and it was your will that I show indulgence for it, although I do not see why you ask me for it. You apologize a lot today, I think.
Thank you. But what are you holding in your hand?
Well, there are some photos Bernadette took in our living room on St. Nicholas Day, 6th December, 1989. As you can see here, you can clearly see some ring-shaped fog-like formations, which can be seen here, in these pictures, around Atlant and encircling him. And here, in this picture, such a structure floats over Natan. All this, although we did not see anything of it on St. Nicholas Eve, not even Bernadette, who took these photos. For my part, I suppose that it could be materialization rings, if any life forms materialize, as I was allowed to observe on various occasions during such occurrences. On that evening, however, I myself saw nothing, which is why I cannot afford to assess these images. Can you perhaps do that?
6th December 1989, 19. In hours from left to right, Gilgamesha Meier sitting on the floor, Aruna Wechter with her dad, Silvano Lehman also sitting on the floor, Connie Wechter, Aruna's mother, standing behind the table with her head lowered, Eva Bieri sitting at the table, Halanka and Ingo Gruber, Elizabeth Gruber's children, partially covered by Calliope Meier sitting on the stove bench. In the front of the picture, Billy's mother, Berta Meier. In front of Billy's mother, the gray veil of a materialization ring is faintly visible at the lower edge of the picture. Photo: Bernadette Brand. December 6th, 1989. 1917 hours are Santa Claus St. Nicholas. In the foreground, a materialization ring. Photo: Bernadette Brand. 6th of December 1989, 1930 hours St. Nicholas with Nathan Brand, above which a materialization ring floats, almost covering it. Photo: Bernadette Brand. 6th December 1989, 1931 hours St. Nicholas with Atlant Bieri, in front of which a materialization ring floats. Photo: Bernadette Brand. 6th of December 1989, 1932 hours St. Nicholas with Atlant Bieri, in front of which a materialization ring floats. Photo: Bernadette Brand. 6th of December 1989, 1950 hours St. Nicholas with Eva Bieri, who greets Santa Claus and then recites her poem to him. Photo: Bernadette Brand. 6th December 1989, 1955 hours. Billy thanks Santa Claus and says goodbye to him. Photo: Bernadette Brand.
'We did not know you had these pictures. The memory elements of the control disk have not yet been viewed or checked by us.
Well, then it is true. Then one of you was in our good room that evening. Somehow I had a corresponding feeling.
That is true, but we do that every year. Some of us are always there to record the processes on visual recorders.
Aha, and I only learn about it now. And how long have you been doing that, and why could we not see anything, as is normally the case?
You could not see anything because everything in the area of the human eye takes place in the invisible, namely only radiatively and thus in invisible form. Even through the viewfinder of the camera, nothing can be recognized, because only the film itself is influenced by the radiation, which is why the materialization effects are visible in these images. Because the person in the power field should remain invisible, the materialization effects are controlled by us to such an extent that they remain invisible. Regarding your further question, I can tell you that we have always done this in your presence since my daughter Simya Se contacted you on the 28th of January 1975. This means that we made our records for the first time that year. And it urges me to tell you that these records are getting better and better, because you are making more and more efforts for your whole family and also for all your friends and acquaintances present. And I will not forget to mention Bernadette's son, to whom you are a dad of whom he is proud, even if you are not his procreator. He feels safe in your care. I will tell you this for once, because he feels your honest love for him just as much as it is the case to an unusually great extent with Atlant, for whom you are as good a dad as you are for Gilgamesha, Atlantis, and Methuselah. This is the fact of an unusually profound and deeply connecting father form in profound love, as it also appears in very rare cases with us. I would like to have said this for you in awe and respect.
Slowly you drive me into abysmal embarrassment. You would better tell me why and for what purpose you record these St. Nicholas evenings.
First of all, it is very gratifying to see that you are making more and more efforts to spend these evenings in sincere and profound love for all those involved. Secondly, we are also very pleased with your poems and verses that you rhyme for Atlant and, more recently, for Natan.
What does that actually mean, we? You always speak only of us.
I actually omitted that. Yes, I wanted to mention that. We translate everything that is spoken on this St. Nicholas Eve during the recordings into various of our languages in order to broadcast everything and make it accessible to our peoples. For 3 years now, we have been considering whether this St. Nicholas Day custom should be adopted by our peoples as a feast day on which the children should express their thoughts and wishes, etc., with poems, sayings, and verses, whereby the adults also want to be involved. It shall be an annual celebration of joy and love in a special form, which shall also be connected with gifts. However, these should only be self-made and also serve joy and love. The thought here is that the relationships from person to person will be better cultivated in the form that once a year all those meet who often do not see each other personally for many years, because they are very far away and settled on other planets. Such a special feast day, which would also be a very special joy for the children, would bring great advantages to many people. Of course, this planned day would not be celebrated within the framework of the earthly custom and its background, but according to what I explained to you.
You are a damned rascal to just do such things behind my back. I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with that, but I think you could have told me something about it.
I wanted that too. That was really intended, but only for when we had to declare the feast day as accepted by our peoples in agreement. But now you already know it before, which is also good.
Yes, of course. What else can I say about that? You always have surprises that are simply never anything other than fait accompli. But whatever. In the end, it is your beer. Because of the copyright for my St. Nicholas poems, I will have a word with the Aaron people about that.
That would be very happy about your appearance.
You are really indescribably humorless because not even a little fun can be made with you.
Did your words not correspond to a serious background?
Of course not. I just wanted to put you on the spot.
Thus a joke.
Exactly.
How could it be otherwise? But your humor is really sometimes quite strange and not so easy to understand.
Exactly. That is why it is a joke.
According to your sense, very well, yes. But whether your fellow human beings also understand it so, that might be questionable. But that is not important. Rather that it has to be clearly stated that neither we nor you or your groups are race-hating or otherwise race-discriminating or racist. We are in no art and wise any of this, although various slanderers of an earth-human nature claim this, especially Americans or America-friendly persons of a different nationality. All this, however, only because we distance ourselves from America and cannot have any connection with this country and the human beings there, for which the reasons have already been mentioned several times. These new lies and defamations, which of course have originated again in America, are already beginning to spread for some days in the USA, and so it will not be long before this new slander campaign will also spread in Europe and the rest of the world. I would like to prepare you and your groups for this and ask you all not to take this tragically, because it is never and in no wise worthwhile to get excited about lies and slander and other dishonest, lying and characterless machinations of the wicked, the insidious, and the otherwise characterless ones.
I have always held that to be the case, and have always drawn the attention of the group members to it. For my part, I laugh only at lies, swindles and deception, and at slander of all kinds. In addition, I know from experience that slander, lies, and other evils, maliciously attributed to me and the group, only ever served us well and brought us immeasurably great successes, freely according to the principle, he or she who is stupid enough to disparage their neighbor, to want to harm them, to lie about them, and to slander them, must not be surprised if the disparaged and insulted ones thereby reap great success and wealth. This is a fact that has come true again and again with us, since especially I and my work have been slandered and everything has been dragged into the mud. Nevertheless, I would like to agree with you that neither I nor the members of the group are racists or any other racial discriminators. For us, all human beings are equal, no matter what race, color, language, etc. they belong to. Nationality is absolutely irrelevant to us, and so is politics. But if we, just like you, distance ourselves from the Americans and the Israelis, etc., then the background is different. The distancing, however, only refers to the fact that we hold ourselves back from all those dirty elements, who we know to be shoddy characters or other lowlifes in this respect. But Americans and Israelis, etc., who decently and honestly search for the truth and also strive for the truth and live for it, and many can prove this, we do not put any obstacles in their way. Thus we correspond with them, maintain loving, good, and friendly contacts, and also very often cultivate a cordial togetherness with them. Unfortunately, this has always been exploited by slimy creeps and other useless riffraff, so that unpleasant things arise again and again, and new lies and hate tirades are thought up and created by these shoddy characters because they never can cope with their lies, greed for profit, contact fraud, channeling lies and other swindles and mediums nonsense. And the devil knows which nonsense is uncovered by us as well as their lying, alleged humanity, their hypocritical inadequacy and their dirty machinations in various aspects of lying,
deception and swindling for the purpose of their own profit in psychological or material form, however, always to the disadvantage of the fellow human.
It is these, then, who we simply leave to the fate of the Americans and Israelis, etc., and take action against them. And the Americans and Israelis are named in particular because they stand in the #1 spot with all evil machinations with a very far and great distance ahead of their fellow ones. Because especially in these aforementioned matters, and in addition to some other things, the Americans and Israelis are at the unrivaled lead. That is why we do not make a special effort to make efforts for the mission in America, as is also the case with Israel. As far as possible, they deny and falsify our writings and the truth at their own discretion, ignorance, and profit, without having any scruples. They put slander, lies, cheating, and dizziness on one's feet, so much shameless impertinence that one's hair stands on end. So what else are we to do but to behave in the wise that is necessary and is handled equally by you? But now really enough with that. Because we do not have to justify ourselves and explain that we are not racists or anything like that. Those know best of all, who consciously accuse us of such things unjustifiably, and who in this regard only slander us so much because they themselves are the worst screamers. Inhuman ones, enemies of men and perverts in this respect. So racial haters and racists of the worst kind.
And in this respect, America, along with South Africa, is at the forefront another time.
Exactly. When one thinks of what America has done with the native Indians, and still does with them today. Their rights are trampled with their feet and shamefacedly kicked in the dirt, not to mention all the other evils that appear. Or think of how long ago in Africa and other countries people were robbed, brought to America and miserably enslaved, mistreated and deprived of all human rights. How these human beings were persecuted and are still persecuted today because of the color of their skin, mistreated, imprisoned and hunted down like wild birds and murdered by sects and criminal organizations, such as the Ku Klux Klan. Then not only can one's hat go off, but the naked horror and icy horror rushes up in one. Who can be surprised that in this country the great masses are still vehemently committed to the preservation of the death penalty and give a bloodthirsty roar of joy when a person is executed, or when the military criminally invades foreign states by war, when the secret services and other agents commit political murders or simply assassinations to prevent those from speaking who have the courage to shout the truth out into the world. Something that can happen to me too, because I cannot keep my mouth shut and leave these dirty machinations unnamed.
You speak a true word, but this word is indeed dangerous, for to speak the truth in this form means great danger. The addressed are not pleased to know such facts openly pronounced.
I know that I am thus conjuring up even more enemies and danger for my life.
This is indeed the case, for your words correspond entirely to the truth, and the truth is not gladly heard by those guilty.
What is said, and to take back I have no word. In the end, someone has to tell the truth, and that is what I am, even if it can be quite unpleasant for me. But now really enough with it. We talked about St. Nicholas Day, and that one of you was present in our room on the last 6th of December, although not visible to us who were busy with St. Nicholas. Who was with us then? About yourself?
There can be no question of that, because at that time I was with Quetzal. The task of the recording work was assigned to Hilara, the attentive, a sister of Zodos, whose acquaintance you once had the pleasure to make.
Yes, I remember very clearly how I chewed the poor guy up until he turned green and blue with admiration for the Earthlings. That was fun, man, oh man. Has he returned to his normal color in the meantime? Or does he still look like a bucket of paint thrown together, the poor guy?
You are incorrigible, but just making fun about him and making jokes. In any case, he learned a lot from it, and is quite grateful to you for it.
Give him my best and dearest greetings when you see him. I never resented him either, even though I had to squeeze him a bit back then.
He will be happy. But now we should separate because I still have some obligations to fulfill, the completion of which is very important. For your part, you should take a rest, because I know that you do not find it necessary during the last months to rest enough and to allow yourself enough sleep and rest. Night after night you work here in your workroom, and before it is 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you do not find it necessary to go to rest. And if you do, you will be back at work after 3 or 4 hours. You should be more careful with your health and pay more attention to it.
You preach morality like everyone else. I lost a lot of time due to my breakdown in 1982 when I could not do my job anymore. But now that things are getting better again, I have to use the time to do some work. But you know as well as I do that there is a lot of material involved. I have to do not only what I have to do regarding the mission here on the Earth, but also many other things, as you know.
Of course, and we are all very grateful to you for that. Especially, I would like to thank you for your latest efforts, which as usual were much more extensive than we hoped to expect, and which we received in time. Our spiritual leadership is greatly indebted to you.
You talk too much again. It is probably better if you really go about your work now.
That is correct. Greetings from everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Also pay my dear greetings to them all. By the way, I should also greet you from all group members. They have been telling me this for a long time. I should also give you and all the others a lot of thanks. But now go. Otherwise we will not come to an end.